I'm in love with Eric, and I don't care what you think, my wife declared. Jake Rivera's hands, rough from years of shaping oak and walnut, steadied a chisel as he carved a sleek curve into a wooden race car track. The Portland, Oregon, workshop smelled of sawdust and varnish, a sanctuary where he built custom furniture and a life with Sophia, his wife of 12 years, and their 10-year-old son, Aiden. His latest project, a twisting track for Aiden's toy cars, was a surprise for his birthday. Jake grinned, imagining his son's eyes lighting up. The hum of his table saw filled the air, a rhythm as familiar as his heartbeat. But that rhythm shattered when the blade caught, jerking his hand too close. Blood sprayed, and pain seared through his right palm. He stumbled back, clutching the wound, cursing under his breath. The ER visit confirmed a deep cut, sidelining him for 8 weeks. Homebound, Jake felt restless. His workshop, his anchor, was off limits, and the painkillers dulled his focus. Sophia, usually steady, took charge, bandaging his hand and cooking dinners. But her touch felt mechanical, her smiles forced. She lingered over her phone, typing rapidly, then locking it when Jake glanced over. "Just work stuff," she said, eyes darting away. Jake nodded, but unease coiled in his gut. Sophia had always been the organized one, handling bills and schedules, but now she left the house more often, claiming meetings with a new women's group, led by Layla, a local yoga instructor. One evening, Jake noticed a faint scent on Sophia. Not her usual citrus body wash, but something richer, like sandalwood. She brushed it off, saying she'd try to sample at the gym. Her gym visits had doubled, and she returned with glossy shopping bags, claiming they held workout gear. Jake, stuck on the couch, watched her leave for a group event in a sleek jacket he didn't recognize. "It's just a networking thing," she said, avoiding his gaze. Aiden, meanwhile, sensed the shift, asking why Mom was always gone. Jake ruffled his hair, promising everything was fine, but doubt gnawed at him. By week 3 of recovery, Jake's suspicions hardened. Sophia announced a weekend retreat with Layla's group, promising yoga and self-discovery. She packed a new duffel bag, her movements brisk, almost secretive. Jake offered to drive her to the retreat center, but she insisted on taking an Uber, citing convenience. The house felt empty without her. Aiden stayed over at a friend's, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts. He opened their shared laptop, curiosity overriding guilt. Sophia's email was logged in, revealing a confirmation for a boutique hotel, not a retreat center, booked under her name. His pulse quickened. He dug deeper, finding a digital bank statement with charges he didn't recognize. $200 at an upscale restaurant, $150 at a wine bar, all on dates Sophia claimed she was at the gym. When Sophia returned Sunday night, she glowed with an energy Jake hadn't seen in years. She spoke vaguely of meditation and finding her spark, but her phone buzzed incessantly. Jake caught a glimpse of a message before she snatched it away. "Miss you already, E." His stomach twisted. "Who's Eric?" he asked, keeping his tone neutral. Sophia's face tightened. "Just a guy from the group. He does mindfulness talks." Her voice was sharp, defensive. Jake didn't push, but the name lodged in his mind like a splinter. The next day, while Sophia was out, Jake called Mike, his old shop buddy who'd moonlighted as a private investigator. Mike agreed to tail Sophia during her next group meeting. That night, Jake sat Aiden down to work on the race car track, guiding his son's hands to sand the edges smooth. It was a distraction from the growing dread. Mike's call came 2 days later. "You're not going to like this," he said. His voice was grim. He'd followed Sophia to a downtown cafe, where she met a man, Eric, Layla's husband, a yoga trainer with a reputation for charm. They didn't talk mindfulness. They held hands, laughed, and left for a hotel. Mike had photos. Jake's chest tightened, but he asked Mike to keep digging. Sophia's absences grew bolder. She claimed late-night planning sessions for an upcoming community event, a charity picnic where she'd present on the women's group. Jake noticed she'd stopped wearing her wedding ring, citing swelling from workouts. Her phone was now password-protected, and she snapped when Jake asked about her day. Aiden, sensing the tension, grew quieter, retreating to his room with his toy cars. Jake's hand was healing, but his trust was fraying. He needed proof, not just suspicions, before confronting her. Mike's next report was a bombshell. Eric wasn't just cheating with Sophia. He'd targeted other women in the group, using personal growth sessions as a cover. Jake's anger flared, but he stayed calm, plotting his next move with the precision he used to craft his furniture. Jake Rivera's hands still throbbed from the saw accident, but the pain in his chest cut deeper. Mike's photos of Sophia and Eric, tangled in an embrace outside a boutique hotel, burned into his mind. He sat in his Portland workshop, the half-finished race car track for Aiden untouched on the bench. Mike's call confirmed more than an affair. Eric, the yoga trainer married to group leader Layla, had a pattern. He'd charmed at least 2 other women in the empowerment group, exploiting their vulnerabilities under the guise of spiritual guidance. Jake's jaw clenched. He wasn't just betrayed. He was part of a larger deception. Determined to act, Jake asked Mike to widen the investigation. "Find everything," he said, voice steady despite the storm inside. Mike tracked Eric's movements, uncovering a trail of late-night texts and secret meetups. One evening, while Sophia was at another group session, Jake accessed their joint bank account again. New charges stood out. $300 for a spa day, $500 for a jewelry store, all dated when Sophia claimed to be planning the charity picnic. The numbers didn't lie. Sophia was funneling their savings into her secret life. Jake printed the statements, his hands shaking with purpose. Aiden's confusion grew. He asked why his mom was always texting someone else during dinner. Jake deflected, suggesting they test the race car track's new ramp. Aiden's smile was fleeting, his eyes searching for answers Jake couldn't yet give. That night, Jake pored over Mike's latest findings. Eric had used the gym's email system to arrange private coaching with Sophia and others, promising breakthroughs in self-worth. The messages were laced with flattery, each one a calculated step toward intimacy. Jake's disgust mounted. Eric wasn't just a cheater, he was a predator. Sophia's behavior grew reckless. She left for yoga at odd hours, returning with excuses about extended classes or last-minute planning. Once, she slipped up, mentioning a rooftop bar she'd heard about from Layla, but Jake recognized it from a $200 receipt. He kept silent, building his case. Mike delivered a crucial piece of evidence, a recorded call where Eric and Sophia planned a weekend getaway, disguised as a group retreat. "We'll say it's for the picnic prep." Eric's voice crackled through the audio. Sophia laughed, agreeing. Jake's heart sank, but his resolve hardened. He decided to confront the truth at the charity picnic, where Sophia would present the group's mission to Portland's community. The event was a week away, giving Jake time to plan. He met Mike at a quiet diner, away from prying eyes. Mike handed over a USB drive with photos, call logs, and a timeline of Sophia's affair, plus evidence of Eric's other targets. "This could ruin them," Mike warned. Jake nodded. "It's not about ruin. It's about truth." He spent nights crafting a slideshow, each slide a damning reveal. Hotel receipts, text exchanges, photos of Sophia and Eric together. The final slide listed the other women Eric had manipulated, protecting their identities but exposing the scheme. Aiden's school project, a model bridge, became their refuge. Jake guided his son's hands to glue wooden beams, their focus a shield against the tension at home. Sophia, oblivious to Jake's discovery, grew bolder, leaving her phone unlocked once. A notification from Eric flashed. "Can't wait for Saturday. You're my escape." Jake screenshot it, adding it to his arsenal. He didn't confront her. He wanted the truth to hit harder, in public where Sophia and Eric couldn't hide. The night before the picnic, Jake tested his plan. He accessed the community center's projector system, volunteering to handle tech for the event. The coordinator, unaware of his intent, agreed. Jake uploaded his slideshow, ensuring it would replace Sophia's presentation seamlessly. He lay awake that night, Aiden sleeping soundly nearby. Doubt crept in. Would exposing Sophia humiliate Aiden? But silence meant letting Eric prey on others. Jake chose action over regret. Sophia left early for the picnic, buzzing with excitement about her speech. Jake dropped Aiden off at a friend's, promising a fun day after the event. At the park, families gathered under bright tents, kids running through the grass. Layla and Eric mingled, playing the perfect couple. Jake positioned himself at the projector, heart pounding but hands steady. Sophia took the stage, launching into her talk about empowerment. Jake waited, finger hovering over the switch. The moment was coming, and with it, the truth would break free. The Portland park buzzed with chatter as families spread blankets and kids chased soccer balls. Jake Rivera stood by the projector, his pulse hammering, the USB drive with his evidence burning a hole in his pocket. Sophia, on the makeshift stage, spoke confidently about the women's group, her voice carrying over the crowd. She clicked to her first slide, expecting a glowing mission statement. Instead, Jake triggered his slideshow. A grainy photo of Sophia and Eric, locked in a kiss outside a hotel, filled the screen. The crowd gasped, voices falling silent. Sophia's face drained of color. She fumbled with the clicker, but Jake advanced the slides. Text messages appeared. Eric's words, "You're my escape," alongside Sophia's reply, "I need you." The next slide showed a bank receipt, $500 for a necklace, charged the day Sophia claimed to be at a yoga class. Whispers turned to murmurs. Layla, Eric's wife, stood frozen near the front, her eyes locked on the screen. Jake's voice cut through the tension. "This is the truth about your empowerment group," he said, calm but firm. Chaos erupted. Layla lunged toward Eric, who was edging toward the park's exit. "You liar," she shouted, her voice cracking. Two husbands blocked Eric's path, their faces hard with anger. Sophia stumbled off the stage, reaching for Jake, but he stepped back, his expression unyielding. "You chose this," he said. The slides continued. Photos of Eric with another woman from the group, anonymous but unmistakable, followed by call logs detailing his late-night talks with multiple members. The crowd's shock turned to outrage as women realized they'd been manipulated. Layla confronted Sophia, demanding answers. "Did you know he was married?" she yelled. Sophia stammered. It wasn't like that, but her words drowned in the crowd's boos. Eric tried to deflect, claiming the photos were doctored, but Jake projected a final slide, a timeline linking Eric's coaching sessions to hotel bookings and cash withdrawal from the group's funds. A woman in the back shouted, "He tried that with me too." The revelation rippled, exposing Eric's scheme to the entire community. Jake shut off the projector, his point made. He faced Sophia, who was sobbing, pleading for a private talk. "You had months to talk," Jake said, his voice low. "You lied instead." He turned to the crowd, addressing the stunned families. "This wasn't just about me. This group preyed on trust. I'm done hiding it." Some nodded in support. Others looked away, uncomfortable with the public reckoning. Layla, tears streaming, grabbed her bag and stormed off, vowing to end her marriage. Eric slipped away in the chaos, but not before a local gym manager, present at the picnic, took note. He'd been suspicious of Eric's extra classes and now had proof of misconduct. Sophia, cornered by angry group members, fled to her car. Jake stayed, answering questions from concerned parents. One woman admitted Eric had offered her private sessions too, thanking Jake for exposing him. Aiden wasn't there. Jake had ensured he'd stay at a friend's house, but the boy's absence weighed on him. How would he explain this to his son? By evening, the park emptied, but the fallout spread. Jake drove home, the weight of his actions settling in. His phone buzzed with texts from neighbors, some praising his courage, others calling his approach cruel. He ignored them, focusing on the next step. He called Emily Wright, his lawyer, updating her on the picnic. She advised securing the family's assets immediately, suspecting Sophia might try to drain their accounts. Jake logged into their bank, freezing joint funds with a few clicks. He found another unauthorized charge, $200 for a dinner, dated yesterday. Sophia returned home late, her eyes red. She begged Jake to listen, claiming Eric had manipulated her, promising a future together. "I was lost," she said, voice trembling. Jake didn't waver. "You spent our money on him. You lied to Aiden. Pack your things." Sophia's pleas turned to anger, accusing Jake of humiliating her. He pointed to the door. "You humiliated yourself." She grabbed a suitcase, stuffing it with essentials, and left without another word. The house fell silent, the race car track on the table a reminder of what Jake was fighting for. The morning after the picnic, Jake Rivera woke to a quiet house, the absence of Sophia's presence stark. Aiden, back from his friend's sleepover, sensed the shift and asked, "Where's Mom?" Jake sat him down at the kitchen table, choosing honesty over sugarcoating. "She made choices that hurt us," he said, keeping his tone steady. "She's not living here anymore." Aiden's eyes welled up, but he nodded, clutching a toy car from the track Jake had built. Jake hugged him, promising they'd face this together. News of the scandal spread through Portland's tight-knit community. Jake's phone lit up with messages, some from neighbors offering support, others accusing him of airing private matters too publicly. He muted the notifications, focusing on protecting his son and their future. Emily Wright, his lawyer, met him at a downtown cafe to strategize. She'd already filed for temporary custody of Aiden and a restraining order on the family's accounts to block Sophia's access. "You've got a strong case," Emily said, handing over documents. "Her spending on Eric is documented fraud." Jake signed the papers, his resolve firm. The local gym fired Eric after confirming he'd misused their resources for his schemes. Layla, his wife, initiated divorce proceedings, publicly denouncing him on social media. Her post revealed 3 other women from the group had come forward with similar stories, each manipulated by Eric's promises of emotional fulfillment. The community reeled, with parents pulling their kids from the gym's classes. Jake received a call from a reporter at the Portland Tribune, asking for comment. He declined, wanting to focus on facts, not drama. Sophia sent a text, begging to meet Aiden. Jake consulted Emily, who suggested supervised visits to ensure the boy's stability. At a neutral park, Jake watched from a bench as Sophia approached Aiden. She knelt, offering a new toy truck, but Aiden pushed it away. "Why'd you lie?" he asked, voice trembling. Sophia's apologies stumbled out, blaming stress and Eric's influence. Aiden walked back to Jake, choosing silence over her excuses. Jake's heart ached for his son, but he respected his choice. Back home, Jake threw himself into routine. He and Aiden worked on a school science project, building a solar-powered model car. The task grounded them, each soldered wire a step toward normalcy. Jake returned to his workshop, his hand healed enough to resume light work. Orders trickled in, some from clients who admired his stand against deception. A local carpenters guild reached out, offering a partnership to supply custom pieces for a community center. Jake accepted, seeing a path to rebuild. Sophia's absence left gaps. Bills she'd managed arrived late, and Jake scrambled to organize them. He found another unauthorized withdrawal, $400, dated before the picnic. Furious, he sent the evidence to Emily, who added it to the divorce case. Sophia's lawyer contacted Jake, proposing a settlement. She'd relinquish claims to the house and workshop if she could avoid a public fraud charge. Jake agreed, prioritizing Aiden's stability over drawn-out battles. The deal ensured he kept full custody, with Sophia allowed limited, supervised contact. The community's reaction evolved. A group of parents invited Jake to a town hall to discuss the empowerment group's fallout. He shared his evidence, sparking a broader conversation about trust and accountability. Some criticized his public approach, arguing it shamed Sophia unfairly. Others thanked him, saying his actions exposed a predator and protected their families. A woman approached Jake after, admitting she'd nearly fallen for Eric's tactics. "You saved me," she said, voice low. Jake nodded, uncomfortable with the praise, but glad for the impact. Aiden struggled at school. Classmates whispered about the scandal, and he came home upset one day, saying a kid called his mom a liar. Jake arranged for a counselor, Dr. Patel, to help Aiden process his anger and confusion. During sessions, Aiden admitted he missed Sophia, but felt betrayed. Jake listened, vowing to be his anchor. They started a new project, a wooden birdhouse for the backyard. Each nail hammered a quiet act of healing. Aiden smiled more, his resilience growing. Sophia moved to a small apartment across town, taking a job at a corporate office. She sent Aiden a letter promising change, but focused on her feelings, not his pain. Jake read it first, then let Aiden decide. His son set it aside, choosing to focus on a soccer game instead. Jake watched him kick the ball with newfound confidence, proud of his strength. The divorce loomed, but Jake felt a flicker of hope. He was rebuilding, not just for himself, but for the family he and Aiden would redefine. Jake Rivera signed the final divorce papers in a quiet Portland law office, the pen steady in his healed hand. The settlement left him the house and workshop, while Sophia accepted a minimal share to start over in Seattle. Aiden, now 10, sat outside with Emily Wright's assistant, sketching a new design for their backyard birdhouse. Jake exhaled, the weight of months of betrayal lifting, replaced by a cautious hope. He'd fought for truth, and now he and Aiden could move forward. The community still buzzed with the scandal's aftermath. Eric faced a lawsuit from the gym for misusing funds, and his reputation as a yoga trainer crumbled. Layla finalized her divorce, launching a new, transparent wellness group to rebuild trust. Jake declined an invitation to speak at a community forum, choosing privacy over publicity. Instead, he focused on Aiden, enrolling him in a weekend soccer camp to channel his energy. Aiden's first goal, a sharp kick past the goalie, brought a grin to Jake's face as he cheered from the sidelines. At home, Jake and Aiden tackled their birdhouse project, mounting it on a sturdy oak. Aiden insisted on adding a tiny carved sign, Rivera Roost. Their evenings settled into a rhythm: homework, dinner, and talks about school or soccer. Dr. Patel, Aiden's counselor, noted his progress, saying he was learning to separate his mother's choices from his own worth. Jake, too, attended sessions, confronting his lingering anger. He realized he could forgive Sophia's actions without welcoming her back into their lives. Sophia sent occasional texts, asking to see Aiden during holidays. Jake let Aiden decide, and the boy chose distance, saying, "She didn't choose us first." Jake respected his stance, arranging for Sophia to send letters instead. One arrived, filled with apologies and promises of change, but Aiden read it once and tucked it away. Jake didn't push, focusing instead on their next project, a treehouse, a long-promised dream. They spent weekends hammering planks and installing a rope ladder, Aiden's laughter echoing as they tested it. Jake's workshop thrived. A local cafe commissioned custom tables, drawn to his reputation for integrity. He hired an apprentice, a young woman eager to learn carpentry, and began mentoring teens at a community center. The work grounded him, each finished piece a testament to rebuilding. A client, moved by Jake's story, shared it on a Portland business blog, boosting orders. Jake reinvested the profits, upgrading his tools and saving for Aiden's future. The community's wounds healed unevenly. Some neighbors still whispered about Jake's public expose, but others sought his advice, seeing him as a quiet pillar of resolve. At a school fundraiser, a father thanked Jake for inspiring him to confront his own partner's dishonesty. Jake listened, offering practical tips on protecting assets and prioritizing kids. He didn't seek the role of mentor, but it found him, and he embraced it with care. Sophia's move to Seattle severed most ties. She took a job in tech support, her letters to Aiden growing sporadic. Jake ensured Aiden had access to her messages, but the boy focused on his new passions, soccer and sketching designs for Jake's workshop. One evening, Aiden showed Jake a drawing of a chair with carved soccer balls on the armrests. "Can we make this?" he asked. Jake nodded, pulling out graph paper to refine the plan. Their collaboration deepened their bond, a quiet defiance of the past. On the anniversary of the picnic, Jake and Aiden visited the park, sitting on a bench near the stage where everything had unraveled. Aiden tossed a soccer ball between his hands, reflective. "I'm glad you told the truth, Dad," he said. Jake ruffled his hair. "Truth's hard, but it's the only way." They walked home, the treehouse visible in their backyard, a symbol of what they'd built from the wreckage. Jake felt no urge to dwell on Sophia or Eric. His energy went to Aiden and their future. Jake's philosophy shifted. He valued clear boundaries over forced harmony, understanding that protecting his family meant making tough calls. Clients now sought him not just for furniture, but for his story of resilience. He launched a small woodworking class for kids, teaching them to carve with precision and patience. Aiden joined, proud to show his friends the skills his dad taught him. Their life, once fractured, now stood on a foundation of honesty and mutual trust, stronger than any wood Jake had ever shaped.